Good morning, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. It is Tuesday, November 23rd. Oh my goodness. And I am the Badass Buddha, by the way, and I am coming to you from a very, very chilly southern Connecticut, where it is about 27 degrees outside today. Good morning, everyone. I am the Badass Buddha, Lori Monaco. I am your teacher, speaker, coach, chiropractic physician, and weight loss specialist. And today, I am now officially an author. So good morning, everyone.
Buenos días, mi gente. Hello, I am coming to you from Castaic, Los Angeles, California. So yes, it is 5 o'clock in the morning over here. And good morning and congratulations to the Badass Buddha, to Chanel, to Kelly, to all of the authors today that were published. Get her badass story.
You're an old pro. You're an old pro gladiator guru.
You know, but it's still exciting. It's still exciting. This is my first collective short story badass compilation. So it's still very exciting. It's every time you publish a book, it's like your first baby. It's like here we are.
I would imagine.
Hello, mi gente. Good morning. I am La Margarita, your gladiator guru. And here we are. We're going to tell you all about how to acquire, own, read, love, and share her badass story. Take it away, Badass Buddha.
Well, first off, so Gladiator Guru, yes, it's 5 a.m. She's a little sleepy. She hasn't had her coffee. I myself am drinking Gladiator Guru's coffee, which I'm so happy it came in yesterday. And I was so happy to finally drink it because I was drinking gross Starbucks and I was really not loving it. So let's do some shout outs quick. So we have Chenille Real Deal. Chenille Real Deal, by the way, is one of the authors that is in the book that is available today for purchase. We're going to put the link up shortly, and we want you, while you are online, to purchase. And for those of you that know people out of the country, please put in the chat, in the comments, that you know somebody out of the country, and we will post all the links. We'll first post the US link, and you go and click on that today. And if you know anybody out of the country that you could share the link and get them to buy, it's a small investment. It's an ebook. It's a special price. It is around $1. Here in the US, it's 99 cents. In other countries, it's a little bit more, a little bit less. So it's not a big investment. We'll put up the international links and you can share them with the people that you know. We would appreciate that. So good morning, Chenille. Very excited for Chenille. Chenille and I are both first-time authors, so this is fabulous. Tiffany, good morning. Francia in the house. Good morning. Milagros. Good morning. Good morning. And Gladiator Guru, because it's so early, she's on the quieter side today because she doesn't want to be too loud for everybody. And because it's also so early. Good morning, Attica Bolahala in the house. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. So let's get on to how you can. We do have a guest today as well, which is going to be fantastic because she's going to be talking about prioritizing. So today's show is called Prioritize This. So you will prioritize your life and get your shit together. So she's going to be on pretty soon. But in the meantime, so let's get going. So
wait.
Oh.
Look at this. Look at how exciting is this.
What? People are writing?
Yeah, right here.
Oh, yes. All right. Chenille Real Deal. Fantastic.
Yeah, that
is. Today's the day. Like what we're trying to do. So this is the way Amazon works. If we sell a certain amount in a certain amount of period, we will become bestsellers. And so we're looking to nab not just national bestseller, but we're looking to nab international bestseller. And that's why it's really important for you to share the international links. Okay. So let me see. So Gladiator Guru, go ahead and talk a little bit if you don't mind while I get all this together.
Pues mi gente, it's, you know, every day is exciting. And then you have these moments where it's like celebratory and dance as if no one's watching, because when you get excited, you get excited. And just feel it and allow everything to seep through you. I'm sure the badass Buddha was dancing her ass off before she sat down to start the show, because it is something to celebrate. Um, it goes beyond sharing our story. It goes beyond um, having our name in a book. It's we share this so that it has a ripple effect of healing to whomever reads it and can associate and relate to our stories, because there's 9 authors sharing emotional, deep, personal stories, but it's all to release and then to open the gates for others to heal as well. So being a part of that tribe, it just makes me so happy to be able to do that. It makes me so happy to be a woman who wears her scars very proudly and to say, come on, let's do this. It's going to be okay. That's being a badass when you can share and part of being of service to help other women. And that's what her badass story is about. So buy it for other people. I mean, right now, if you can buy the hardcover, would be better. The book form, those are great gifts. Because
Yes.
the least story you can relate to is the one that 5 other women will take to heart and make a change for the better for the rest of her life.
Yep. Thank you. And it was really challenging. This wasn't easy. These brave women shared very personal stories. It brought up a lot of stuff for all of us. Of some hesitation, some relief, a mixed bag too. Some of it was both. It was hesitation and relief, because some of it was time. Some of the stories might have been partially told, but I don't think they were told on this level. And as a result, um, it wasn't necessarily an easy, as the women were writing, you go into something with a thought process in one way, and you think to yourself, oh, this is going to be fine, I'll be able. The hardest part is going to be for you just to write the story. And then as you start writing the story, you're reliving certain things that's why you're writing this, right? And it brings up stuff, and then it makes you really realize, have I really truly healed from this? Is this still something that's like within me? I know that happened with me during what I was writing. You think sometimes that you're past something, and true forgiveness and letting go really requires you to have to fully deal with the situation, not just partially. And so I was fielding a lot of back and forth text message, phone calls, emails from some of the writers that um, they were freaking out. They're like, "Oh my God, I think I wrote too much. I don't know if it's going to come out right. This doesn't sound good. I don't want people to think." And then they got beyond that. That was the beauty of it. They got beyond that to really be able to say what needed to be said, and share their most intimate stuff. So and Gladiator Guru was right. This book is for us to share our stories to help other women feel free in sharing their stories and moving past their past to live a phenomenal future. You cannot move into a future, a brilliant, wonderful future, being tethered to your past and sometimes holding on to that story or living the story. Some people just don't want to let go of their story because they feel that it defines them. Um, it-
And it's such a comfort zone that it becomes like a protection. And when you tell it, when you release it and purge it, you can actually have physical pain.
yes.
It's like your womb feels like sore, as though you just gave birth. I had that experience in September 17, 2011, when I told my story at the Slut Walk in Tampa. Not this story in the book, another story. And I didn't realize how had become so deeply sewn into the tapestry of my soul that when I said it, I've told it before, but when I said it in that setting, in the public park, in front of all these prior victims, that when I went to put the seatbelt on, I literally felt as though I was beaten with the bat.
Yes.
But then when I went to bend down, it felt like I had just given birth. So it was a sad moment. Like I cried because I finally released, and I cried sadly because I finally released, if that makes any sense. So it was the same end game, but there was two different emotional attachments to it. And I believe that when we release finally, that's leaving room. Don't get too excited because that means another assignment's coming. Because that Saturday, September 17th, when I released, I felt so finally. And then 2 days later was when my husband was diagnosed with ALS. So I had to, some stuff had to be removed in order to be able to fully accept the next assignment in life. But always remember, they always say God gives his battles to the strongest warriors. Well, he must think I'm a badass for sure. So, so it's about, you know what? It's about appreciating that you can handle it, but it's the knowing when to let go, the knowing when to bid adieu to things that no longer suit you. And
Yes.
that's what these stories are about. These stories are about all these women that said, no mas. I don't care. Nobody needs to understand why I'm sharing this particular story. Nobody, I don't want to hear how personal it is because I really don't care. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this to heal my mind, body, spirit, and soul, or as it should be healed. And when you can do that for yourself, then you're truly unapologetically courageous because it's not about what anybody thinks about you. People are going to talk regardless. So let's give them something to talk about. And that's what we do. We live life according to us, and we live life with our values and our boundaries and our self love. And when we do this, we can conquer anything that is placed before us. So, good morning, mi gente. And it's all about love today.
Good morning. Maritza Figueroa, too, is in the
Oh,
house.
Maritza. Buenos dias,
And
Maritza.
Luis,
Luis Molina. That's my
yeah.
Spain taxi driver. If you're ever in Spain, called Luis Molina. He is the best taxi driver you can
Did
find.
he buy a book in Spain?
Everything was sent, so maybe
Okay.
that's why he's on today. So buenos dias.
So again, we've posted the links, the US link. So if you are on right now, click on that link and buy right now. Takes no time at all to buy. We also, in addition, because we're not asking enough, right? Share those international links for the people that you know internationally. And when you get a moment and you read the book, leave a review on the book too. That's also pretty important for us as well. And as well as Gladiator Guru, you know, when you publish on Amazon, you have an author's page. So Gladiator Guru also has an author's page, and now I do. And go to her books, you know, order her books and read them, and you know, check them out and review them because it's everything helps. Good morning, Janet Ortiz.
Janet.
All right. Good morning. All right. So yeah, one last thing I will say about the book. For me especially, it there was so much emotion that got pulled up with this that I was especially the last month. You know, this has been in planning since April, technically. It didn't really sort of get kicked into play, like into gear, until midsummer. And then the last 2 months have been just a whirlwind of back and forth frantic stuff, but especially the last, like, I'd say 3 to 4 weeks. And with that was all the writing and editing. And I was literally having visceral reactions, just like Gladiator Guru said. She felt like she got beat up after that that talk that she did. For me, I was having anxiety attacks, and I was it brought up so much stuff for me because, you know, here's the other thing is that with personal stories that are shared, sometimes they can also include other people. And I know one of the authors, you know, called me up in a panic because, actually two, because they were there were other people involved in their story, and they so didn't want the other people to come off wrong. And I get that, you know, because in the end, here's the deal. These stories are our past. These stories are what took us to where we are today. And so whatever happens, we may not feel that way about these individuals anymore, whether, and some of them we didn't know the individuals or we only knew them partially, but we're past them. And that's the beauty of it, is forgiveness is forgiving yourself, but it's also forgiving the other people and the situations, so that you can be the best individual, the brightest star in the sky. But it's your world, it's your sky, it's your universe.
Thank you for saying that. And I know Lisa's coming on, but that's the thin line between being authentic, living intentionally for you, for your best life, being responsible, to walking in your truth through healing and then they say be mindful of everyone around you. And if we do that, how are we authentic? So you have to walk in your truth. And unfortunately, when we walk in our truth, people are going to get offended. Some might feel like they're being singled out, but again, those are their opinions and how they view things. And yeah, people, we're not perfect, but when we walk in our truth and we have to tell our story about our pains, and unless they were self-inflicted, other people were part of that pain. You can name them, you cannot name them. They're gonna still get upset if you make it like a fiction, because they're gonna know that's their story. But tell your story anyway. If everybody felt that way about being sensitive and who they're going to offend and what's going to happen, shit this way and shit that way, we would have never carried on stories through our ancestors. The Bible still offends people, but it still gets told, it still gets read.
That's right.
So just live intentionally, be authentic,
Oh, I wish
live your
Carmen was
best
on.
life without purposely offending people. But if your story is associated with people and you have to tell it, oh well, tighten up, put your big girl panties on,
That's right.
walk with some tissue, because this is getting done. So congratulations if all my collaborative authors on it. Oh, that win. I wish I could scream. I wish I had like those poppers.
I know we don't like you this quiet and mellow. It's very unnerving in a way.
It's very unme. But so let's walk in our truth. Let's celebrate one another. I don't care if you're baking a pie to opening a bakery. You celebrate you at where you're at every level and every step, and let's just start celebrating ourselves, so that then we can celebrate one another with nothing but joy and enlightenment.
Fabulous.
Namaste.
Fabulous. All right. So let's get our guest on here. So let's talk about Lissa. Let me introduce her. I had this queued up, but I guess I
Lisa's
didn't.
waiting.
Okay.
Come on,
Yeah, I
Lisa.
know
Come
she's
on.
waiting. So listen, it says, so I'm going to read her bio, right? So Lissa Figgins feel like you give too much attention to what is urgent and not enough to what is most important. Hell yes, Lissa. Can't wait for this. It doesn't have to be that way. Lissa Figgins is a life and biz priorities coach for women after 40 and host of the podcast Repurposed After 40. Love it. As a coach, author, and speaker, she teaches and inspires women like you to rethink and realign your priorities in 7 key areas to create more balance, profit, and impact in this season of life. She discovered her passion when she found herself frustrated, unfulfilled, and fading as she turned 40 and faced a new identity and new desires. Instead, Lissa decided to be intentional. Intentional is the word of the day today, about her health, life, and business to make a bigger impact. Her favorite quote is, "Never DIY your greatest priorities." Since then, she has inspired many after 40 women and entrepreneurs on this journey, and it's her mission to help you rethink and realign your priorities to live repurposed too. Lissa loves reading and running, healthy living and mentoring, hiking and organizing, leading and exploring, learning and teaching, and lots of Jesus, dark chocolate, and real conversation over a cuppa detox tea. No judgment there. We like coffee, but actually we drink tea too. So what's a girl to do to make a space for what matters most in the midst of your busy life? Grab Lissa's free daily priorities planner to get focused on the 7 key areas and start creating a life built around your priorities. And I will put that up into the chat. And let's bring Lissa on. There she is, Lissa.
Hey, good morning, ladies.
Good
I
morning.
love
So
how you put the recycling thing. How did you do that in your name? That's
I'll have to teach you
perfect.
afterwards. It's just, you got it. Once you get one of those little emojis, then I just keep copy paste, and then I can put it in wherever I go. So yeah, I'm
Fabulous.
all about helping women to be repurposed. And so that recycle is that like visible symbol of like, let's, like, even what you guys are talking about, your stories, right? Like there's purpose in those stories, and you can live repurposed by finding the purpose in those and using it in a way to bless, inspire, encourage, teach others, right? It's doing work for you, but it's also, helping others to do that as well. So excited for you guys. I just did a book project as well. 20 Powerful Women in Network Marketing Tell All, Volume 2. And there were 20 of us in that book. So that just came out in October. So congratulations to you guys and what you're working on. And thank you for sharing your story.
No, enhorabuena to you. It's about celebrating one another.
Yes.
So,
Especially
yeah.
women. We don't celebrate it. I think, well, I don't want to say that. I think now I think we have finally done this. I think as women, we have finally got on the bandwagon. Like we've decided, okay, that's it. Like we're celebrating ourselves. This is going to be it. I've seen the shift happen over the last couple of years, rather than us sort of living the male dominated, industry and life, and then started stepping up and understanding our power, and not just understanding our own personal power, but celebrating it together. Whereas we were always taught, right, historically speaking, that you need to compete with one another. And women have decided, yeah, that doesn't really work for us. I mean, it's not like saying that women haven't done that and haven't backstabbed, but I think empowered women are realizing that it's just better to work together. Use what works best for us, which is our nurturing abilities. It's natural for us. And when someone falls, pick them up. And when I stumble, you can help me up, and we work together as a community. And so I think that because these compilation books, which are mainly women driven, mostly women in the book. Is yours mostly women? Is it all women in your book?
Ours is all women, but they're actually launching a men's version, I believe, today. Or sometime in the next week or so, with all men. And they said it was so interesting. The same people put the book together, the book project, to see why men step into a business like this, which I think is really fascinating. And they're actually going to do a couples one that will release on Valentine's Day about couples that are going into business together. So yeah, so many different perspectives, right?
That's funny, because I had wanted to make this a volume, like a volume thing as well. And one of the ideas that I had too was, because it's called Her Badass Story, but I was also going to create one that was their badass love story. And it's about couples that have been together for a really long time, that were just truly in love with each other. Like, that, you hear about the quote, fairy tale kind of life. And not that their life was a fairy tale, so to speak, but their love affair was. And that's, so very cool.
I got stories to tell on that.
Yeah, and that you could be a part of that, Gladiator, with Eric. I mean, that's a beautiful love story. Good morning, shout out. Great rising. Bridget Williams is in the house. Arlene Gonzalez. Okay, so what we're gonna do, Lissa?
Good morning, Arlene and Bridget.
Take it. We're gonna let you teach us how to prioritize. We're gonna put in the link for them to access your offer. All right. And let's get rocking and rolling on this. So talk to us. What have you learned about women over 40, and what can you teach us?
Oh my goodness. Wow. Do we have enough time? Right. And we're still all learning.
We're still one. We'll make this volume 1. This will
right.
be
volume one. Right. We'll have to have a sequel. No. So for me, in my 20s, I was very focused on my career. I was a teacher, so I was busy doing that. We started a family. In my 30s, when we had number 3, we made the decision for me to stay home full time after I tried the part-time thing. And it just, I felt like I was stretched in a million directions. Right. And so I stayed home. But what happened during my 30s was, 2 things happened. One, I got a cancer scare. And so after surgery, the results came back that it wasn't what they thought it was. But that was my first wake-up call, right? You have something happen to you or to someone that you love, and you kind of all of a sudden wake up and think, oh my goodness, right? Maybe I'm not as healthy as I think I am, or, you know, life shifts or life happens. And so I really started diving into, I need to make my wellness a priority. And I would have told you I was healthy. You know, I wasn't like I was eating a bunch of junk food and doing a bunch of things that weren't good for my body, right? But you don't know what you don't know. And so I really started making changes, right? And then turned 40. Have you guys ever had like a milestone birthday, or maybe it was an anniversary, or maybe it was even something that happened like in the, you know, your kids graduating or something like that. And it just makes you just pause and stop and like look in the mirror and be like, wow, how did I get here? You know, who am I? Who is that girl in the mirror? That's what I was asking when I was turning 40. Right? Do you guys ever like come to that point of like,
well, that's what I'm feeling now. That's what I'm feeling now, because this will be my first birthday in a little over 10 years that it's just me, you know, done with the caregiving. So yeah, so I'll be turning 53 on Saturday.
Wow. Well, happy birthday early. Yeah. And I love those milestones like that, because it makes you stop and think, right?
Yeah. Like, where do I have any direction I want to go in, which one is going to best suit and carry me for another 50 years? Absolutely.
I love that. I love that. Now the screen is not large enough to be able to see this behind me, but I've got 2 jars behind me with these little rocks, these little green rocks in them. And I grabbed 100 little rocks because my one grandma lived to 102 and my other grandma lived to 98. So I figure if I split the difference, I'm going to 100. Okay. So perfect. I am 48. So I put 48 in the jar on the left-hand side, right? So there's still 52 in the other one. And every year, then I'll grab a rock out of you know the not yet lived years to move over to that other one. And it's so beautiful because, you know, the years that are over there, you can look at that jar that already has, you know, like for you, you know, already has almost 53 rocks in it. And you could be looking and going, gosh, there's a whole lot more in the done years than there are in the undone years. But have the perspective of, look at all the things that have happened during those years. Look at all the blessings, the memories, the lessons that were learned, even in the hard.
The miracles I've witnessed. Yes,
exactly. Right. And, you know, and then you look, so that's the gratitude piece, right? Where you really have gratitude for your journey, even though it may not have been how you would have penned the story if you had a blank slate, but it's what's made you who you are today. And then you look at the jar of the rocks that are yet to be lived, those years yet to be lived. And that's the anticipation part, right?
Yeah.
Of what truly do I want these years to hold, right? What things do I want to accomplish or do? What impact do I want to make? And the beauty of it is that you only have one of those pebbles in your hand, because the only thing that you can control is the year that you are living right now. Right. And that's where priorities come in, because way too many people are just moving those pebbles to the other jar year after year. Birthdays come faster the older we get. Have you noticed that? You know, it's like when you were a kid, it felt like your birthday would never come. And when after you hit a certain age, you're like,
birthday, anything. Like, wait a minute, what date is it? It's the 23rd of November. Where the hell did the year? I still keep saying 2020. Like I keep like actually I went to write something and I was writing 2022. Because we're doing our planning for 2022 for the show. And I was writing at the heading 2021, the year 20. And I'm like, wait a minute, did I lose a year? You know?
Right. But so many people are just living life unconsciously and not focusing on what matters most to them. And so it's just those pebbles and those rocks are just going into the other jar without even really thinking about it. Right. And so my passion is to help women specifically to push pause, to evaluate where you are, right? Look at where you are and what's really great and maybe what's a struggle. And, you know, because I think you have to know where you're starting from first, and then start envisioning, what do I want these next years to look like, right? Around what's most important to you. And then it's about taking daily action, because you have that one rock in your hand for that year, right? So you can live that well, or you can just let life, you know, continue to go by.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's what it's all about. You know, priorities are one of those things that, you know, I'm sure anyone listening would probably raise their hand and say, yes, I have priorities, right? Because we all say we have priorities, but the true test is whether or not we're doing them. So I was a teacher, so I'll let the teacher in me come out and define the term. So priority is a noun that is a thing that is regarded as more important than another, right? And there are 3 places to go and test whether or not something is a priority. You can go to your calendar. Is it getting your time? You can go to your bank account. Is it getting your money? You can go to your thoughts. Is it getting your attention? Right? And so often I think we can say something's a priority, but then we're not investing time, money, or energy into that. And so we really have to kind of do that self-check of go, is this really a priority to me? You know, and kind of like have that hard talk with ourselves and be like, you're saying that your wellness is a priority. You're saying your marriage is a priority. You're saying that, you know, you're getting out of debt is a priority. You're saying your business is a priority, but you're not doing, right? So kind of having that check-in and saying, okay, I do want this to be a priority, right? And I think as women, you guys kind of hit on this a little bit earlier, we have so many things that keep us from that. I mean, we're by nature nurturers, which you were talking about earlier, right? We're always serving and giving and pleasing and helping, and it's all about everybody else. And we don't know how to say no. And, you know, we just keep doing, sure, I can do that. Sure, I can do that. And, you know, and then we've got this culture around us that's like, well, it's been a little different the last couple of years, let's just be honest. But for the most part, it's go, 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 do, right? The people who are, you know, who are grinding are the people who are successful. And so we just keep adding more and more to, you know, our lives. And, you know, and then we've just got, you know, just our roles, you know, we're a mom, we're a grandma, we're a wife, we're an aunt, we're a friend, we're a business owner, we're a coach, we're a whatever, doing stuff in our communities and churches and things like that. And no wonder life feels like a juggling act, you know, and particularly for people who are also building a business, which, you know, you don't have to experience that juggling act, but then it really feels like a 3-ring circus, right? And one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to drop some balls, right? Because you can't keep going forever, right? You may look like you're Wonder Woman and you've got this great juggling act going on, or you're going to drop. And neither of those are, you know, are great things. So that's why it's so important to really push pause and say, what matters most? Like, I'm a doer, okay? I'm a recovering doer. I'm still working on it. So I'm just going to say
I'm a recovering doer.
Right? It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters, right? And knowing what are the things that I should be saying yes to, and what are the things that, you know, that's not my best yes. And so my energy, my time, and my money can be better spent on something else that really is my best yes, because this is really, really important to me.
I want to make a comment on that too, because I still struggle with this, but it was really bad years ago. Was the idea that I have to do it all. And it wasn't just my thought process of that being that way. It wasn't just me saying that I have to do it all. I was also pushed by outside sources because I was such an insecure person. I let other individuals dictate my life and dictate my choices. And it was I take accountability for that. I'm not blaming them. Instead of standing up and saying, I can't do this. And I remember when my middle one, who's now 18, when she was a baby, I went back to work. I was working as an associate. The guy decided to close the satellite office. I was also teaching 2 nights a week. And the guy decided to close the satellite office, and I'm thinking, that's just fabulous. Here I am. It was right at the end of my pregnancy, and I said, geez, you know, I'm not even like, I'm going to be without a job, like a full-time job, blah, blah, blah. And whatever it was, he asked me if I wanted to take over the practice. So I sort of tossed it. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just new. I'm going to be a new mom, and I don't know if I want to do this. And so I opted to do it. So I went back to work. I took the baby with me, but I went back to work when she was 2 weeks old. And she stayed with me at the office while I worked. And then 2 months later, I took over the practice, and I was working full time on the practice. I was trying to train people to, you know, or I was marketing the practice. I had a business partner at that time. But it was still, I felt very alone. I was still teaching twice a week. And and in the beginning, it wasn't too bad because she was young, but then she started getting older, and she needed more than I can give while I was at the office. And I felt it, that I was not succeeding. Like, if I put too much attention to one thing, another thing would get less and it would fail. Right. And my stress levels were through the roof. That was when I started massively gaining weight. So here I am as a chiropractor talking about health, and I am now obese because I'm binge eating, I'm stressed. All because, and I did try to tell other people, I can't do this myself. Like, I can't, something's got to give. And I wanted to put my daughter in daycare, and it was fought tooth and nail on that one. Like, no, you have to keep her there. And in the end, my practice failed. The only my child failed. Like she ended up having the developmental disabilities. So when I decided to close my practice, it was really like a tail between the legs moment.
Mm.
I was really disappointed, and I was so ashamed of it. I told people that I sold my practice, but really what I did was I just sold the stuff in it. I didn't actually sell my practice. The only good thing is I still had money coming in, residual money from the practice, but I just kept teaching, and I decided to devote my time to my special needs daughter at the time, and but it took its toll on me. I started to lose my hair. That's what kicked off my the alopecia that I have. I still was terribly overweight. I had a couple of health scares, and so the other thing is that you not only do you have to prioritize, but you also have to be really clear on your values. And that's
Exactly.
where I was not.
Yeah. And what was happening to you is your body was telling you that, which it was already having
Everything
issues
is
and struggles well before you started noticing that on the outside, right?
yes.
But our body eventually, if we don't prioritize things in our life, it will force us to prioritize them like you experienced. Right. And so sometimes it's those expectations we have of ourselves. And I like how you pulled in that it was expectations of others, because we got this juggling act and we may have invited all these balls into our life. But then, I mean, how often does somebody else throw a ball in, right? Your husband needs something, your kids need something, your mom needs something, your friend isn't having, a crisis or drama or whatever, somebody, coworker at work, and we take on other people's priorities, and they expect that. And so it's so important. If you don't know, like you said, what your values are, what matters most to you, what your priorities are, then it's like you're this open, it's just like the gate is wide open, right? Instead, it needs to be like these here are the borders, right? And I've got these little guards that keep it up. I've got a book right now that I have read and I've reread, and I'm going to use it as part of a book study in the new year. It's called The Best Yes by Lissa Figgins. And what I love about it is it's not saying no to people. Because when you say no to people, you feel like you're letting them down, you feel guilty, you feel like,
not me.
You don't, good for you. That's awesome. Good for you. Why don't you feel guilty?
Because if I'm saying no, I'm saying no. If I say yes, it's because it's something I want to do.
Exactly.
But there are times when I don't want to do something and they don't want to ask, but it has to get done. So you roll up your sleeves and you do it. I think that's a totally different thing. But I don't say yes to everything. And I've always walked my own path, though. People always called me mean and aggressive. And I just think it's being honest and assertive. And some people don't know how to handle that, but no.
Yeah.
Actually, and I think I want to make a statement on that to Gladiator Guru too, because she stood her ground. She's always been very clear on who she is and what she wants. And for those of us out there in the world that were chronic people pleasers, we were afraid to do that because we didn't want people to not like us. And she never cared. She's very big on her who she was. And because it is looked at that way, people, oh, God, she's so selfish, or she doesn't give a crap. The funny part is that's not true. Just because you're assertive, standing up for yourself, does not mean that you don't care about other people. It's just that you have a very clear idea of the fact that you come first to take care of you, to be able to do what you want to do. And if you are a giver, there's nothing wrong with that. You can't give what you don't have. And if you don't have energy to give because you've run yourself ragged and haven't practiced self-care, then you can't give. So you'll technically only be giving a portion of yourself. So it's retraining that idea that I've got to take care of me first. I'm the vessel. And if I want to take care of other people, I have to take care of me first.
I love that.
And you have
having healthy boundaries, right?
Boundaries, having your guardrails always up to date. My grandkids know that I love them. They can call me for anything at any time. And if I'm not busy, then yes. I'll say, listen, I have to get back to you. I'm doing something right now. It could be me finishing up my book. It doesn't matter. But they've learned to respect that. They've learned to honor that when I say something, I'm speaking my truth.
Right. And when you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. Right. And I think that's what it comes down to.
Yes.
You're honoring.
Yes. And I call them out on their stuff. Like, you gotta, so, and you make friends with people who remind you of accountability. So it all makes for it all makes for a healthy lifestyle.
Exactly.
Because who likes me, who doesn't like me, who talks about me, that's not my business. My business is being true to me and because I come with my own bag of confusions. I don't need anybody else's fucking emotions. You know, that's it's so you have to learn how to separate. I'm not, you know, I'm not the Playboy bunny. I'm not here to please everybody.
And see, but that comes down to because you know your priorities, you know what they are. And so many people are living unconsciously and they're just kind of going from one day to the next and 1 year to the next. And they're not thinking about that. They're not focusing on those things. And so they say yes to kind of everything that comes, or they just allow all these other things in because they're not clear on that. Right. And what happens then, you know, one of you mentioned this just a minute ago, then you're not giving your best yes to someone. You're giving them a half yes. Right. Nobody wants a half yes or like a quarter yes or whatever. You're going to be stressed. You're going to feel resentful of having to do whatever it is, right? And they're going to be like, why is she only giving me like, you know, I know she can do more than this. And usually if you say yes to something that's not really part of your priorities, now you're taking away your best yes from something that is, right? And so that's why it's so important to get clear on it. So I have got 3 decisions that, you know, that you need to make if you want to start looking at priorities. Can I share those?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the first one is decide who is a priority, right? And we've hit on this. It's not selfish to make yourself a priority. In fact, I think it's selfish to not, because like we just said, nobody's getting a great version of you, right? They're all getting half, you know, or less than. And so I think so many women feel like it's selfish. Or the other thing they do is they're like, well, you know, there's just not time, right? There's just not money right now. I'll do it later, someday, you know, when the kids are out of the house, when the grandkids grow up, when I retire, you know. Exactly. You kind of keep going into that one-day syndrome. And, you know, I like to say, like, you know, if your family, if your family was going on a road trip, that would be the equivalent of you standing at the end of the driveway and just waving as they drive away to go to Disneyland. You're not in the car. You're not going to enjoy.
I planned it and paid for it. Bye, everybody. Have a good time.
Yeah, have fun. Like, hello.
This is what you'll do. This is what you'll do. Because that's the fun. That's the irony is inside. That is oftentimes what we're doing this. Like we're not that we're doing that to our family. Well, maybe sometimes. But what I'm saying is that only so many times can we say yes, yes, yes. And then there will be maybe one is very wholeheartedly, compassionately a true yes. But then the more you say it and then the less your boundary is, you know, steadfast, then after a while the resentment kicks in. And I know this because I grew up with an Italian family, and Italian mothers and grandmothers are notorious for that. You give, you give, you give. And then after a while they get so aggravated with the giving that they talk crap to themselves and to other people because they get so tired of it. But instead of just saying no. So go ahead, keep going. Decide who is the
No, that's great. No, I love it because then you're in that's like the martyr syndrome, right? Oh, don't worry about me. Oh, don't think about me. Yes. And that was kind of what I ran into when I turned 40. I remember my husband had come back from a work trip that he had been away for a while, and he was all inspired and he wanted us to work on our goals. And so we were going on a getaway weekend. I still remember being in our minivan back in those days when our kids were younger. And he was like, what are your goals? What are your dreams? What do you want to do in the next 5 years? And I was like, seriously? You've been gone for a couple of months and I've been alone with 3 children. When have I stopped to think about my goals? When have I stopped to think about my dreams or what I want? But now looking back, I'm going, you know, I could have at any time, right? I didn't have to make that an excuse of my husband's away or I've got 3 young kids or any of that. Like,
but it was a good one.
Priority. Right. Yeah.
It was a good one.
That entire drive, I was like so frustrated with him. I don't know what my goals are. Stop asking. Right. Yeah. Because I wasn't putting myself in the vehicle. I was not, you know, deciding that I was a priority. The second one is what is a priority? And that's going to look different for everyone, right? It's going to look different based on your personality, based on your background, based on, you know, your life stage, you know, all kinds of different things factor into there. But, you know, again, if you get in the car with your family, so say you hop in the car with them, right? But you haven't decided where you're going. You're just like, hey, let's just start driving. Great. Where are you going to end up? Right? Like, who knows where you're going to end up? You're probably going to end up going in circles or not at, you know, maybe not at Disney if you haven't decided this is where we're going and this is how we're getting there. And so, you know, it's really important to decide what is a priority. What is that? What do I want my health to look like? And I actually work with my clients in 7 areas. They all start with the letter F. So it makes it really easy to remember. So they're faith, family.
Hold on. Faith.
Yeah, sorry, I'll go
All
slow so you
right.
can put them in
I
there.
could. I'm gonna type. Okay, faith, family.
Faith, family, friends. Field, which is anything you do for work. That could be working for somebody else, could be building your own business, it could be full-time home with kids or grandkids, it could be
Okay.
volunteering, whatever you do to work and serve. Finances, fitness, which is anything health related, so that's mental health as well as physical health inside and out, and fun. Okay, so those are the 7 F's, right? And so what's really important is that you, not somebody else, you push pause and say, what do I want my faith to look like? Right? And what do I want my family life to look like? What do I want my fun to look like? For me, as a recovering doer, fun wasn't even on the radar screen. Who has time for fun, right? But yet, it affects the other things because all those things work together and it's like this wheel. And so if some of those areas are not as filled, like you think about a bike tire, right? And so if there are parts of it, if for some reason parts of it are not as filled, or the spokes that are coming out there, one shorter than another, that bike may still go down the road, but it's not going to be a very smooth ride, right? And it's going to be cha-chunk, cha-chunk, like every time it hits that spot or those couple of spots, right? And so what we do is we push pause and we say, where are you right now in these 7 areas? Be honest with yourself. Not what do you want them to be right now, just get clear on where you are. But then we don't stop there. We go, okay, what do you want this to look like, right? Goal achieved, Lissa. What does she want her fun to look like? What is, how often is she traveling? Where is she going? Who is she taking with her? How is she laughing just during her everyday, and really envisioning that. And then you can start taking action once you know where you're going, right? If you don't know where you're going, of course, again, you're getting in the car, you're going to waste time, gas, energy if you just hop in that car with your family and you don't know where you're going. And then the last decision, so we said, who is a priority? That was the first one that that you are a priority. The second one was, what is a priority?
Yeah.
So looking at those 7 areas. The last one is, how much is it a priority? And here's where we really have to ask those tough questions of, am I willing to make some changes, right? Because if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll keep getting what you're getting. And if you have to ask yourself, am I okay with this? Or do I want more? Do I want bigger? Do I want better in this area? It may not be that an area is bad, but maybe you can take it up a couple levels, right? And be able to give greater service to other people because this area is getting the attention that it needs. And when something's a priority, you are willing to invest in it. And I always like to use the example of kids, because when we had our kids, I'm guessing you did not sit around and twiddle your thumbs before they were born and say, I have nothing to do all day long. Maybe I'll bring a child into my life that requires 24/7 attention for the next 18 plus years. And that'll give me something to do. Right? Like nobody does that. You already were busy. You already were living life. You already were doing things. But what happened the moment that baby was put in your arms? You made space for it. You made space in your time, even if it was in the middle of the night. You made space in your bank account. I mean, have you seen the statistics of how much it costs to raise a kid? These days, by the time you get
we don't even think about that beforehand. We don't seriously. We just do it.
Yeah, and then you spend a lot of time worrying, praying, talking, processing, like a lot of mental energy around this baby. Because why? That baby, that life is a priority, right? So things that are priorities, we make space for them in our life, and we make them a priority, and we give them the attention that they need. And so that's what we need to remember, and for these other areas of our life as well, that this is like that baby. And if that baby is not nurtured and cared for, you may not see the effects right away, but eventually down the road, there are going to be issues, right? And the same is true of these 7 areas. If we're not prioritizing them, and they may not all get the same level of attention at the same time, we go through different seasons, and sometimes we're rocking in certain areas and other areas, really need some attention. But if we are neglecting any of them on an ongoing basis, you will see and feel a difference. And then that will have a ripple effect. But the great thing is that it also works the other way, right? Have you guys read the book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy?
No.
I love that book. Okay, it's a good one. Put on your list, because he talks about just the little daily choices that you make every day. And just like your bank account interest, if you deposited a little bit of money in your bank account every single day, it doesn't just add, so say you put $10 in your account every day. It doesn't just add $10, right? It adds $10 plus interest. And then the next day, it's another $10 plus more interest, right? And it has a compound effect. Mm-hmm. And so the same is true when it comes to anything that we're, prioritizing in our life. When we take daily action, that has a compound effect. And it can either go one way or the other, right? It can either move us towards that goal achieved, those things that what we want those areas to look like, or it can take us further away. And I'm just going to say, ladies, there is no neutral. There is no, I'm just not doing anything and I'm hovering. You are slowly moving backwards.
Okay, wait, hold on. There is, right? But you don't go anywhere.
That's I think you're moving backwards. I don't think you actually
the reality. Yeah, I mean, the reality is that is a reality. You're either doing or you're not doing. So when people say you have to take action, when people say, oh, you're not taking any action, technically that's the action. The action is in action. Yes. And that I was going to comment that the how, when you were talking about, the how much is a priority, like so basically how important is this to you? Gladiator Guru, I talk about this all the time, and she's so less tolerant of this, and I bless her for this, and I've really learned a lot from her as a result. When somebody's complaining about their life, complaining about their situation, unhappy, the question is not, oh, I'm here for you, I'm here to listen. It's, what are you going to do differently? If you're complaining about this, then you obviously don't like this. Then what are you going to do differently? And sometimes that is not the goal of that person. The goal is just to complain. Their goal is not to do anything differently. And they don't want to take that in action. It's the same conversation for years. And that was me, totally. That was absolutely totally me. And I still struggle with a few pieces that remain. Most of it is moving forward. And there's a couple other pieces. And I have to be vigilant about that. But she and I have had this conversation where she is always there for people, but she calls them out on their shit. And she will also say, okay, I'm done with this conversation. And when you're ready to have a different conversation with me, I'm here for you and I love you, but I'm not having this conversation. So people make one of two choices, or three. They either change, they don't talk to her anymore, or they only talk to her about other things and not that one thing, because they're choosing not to change. And so she doesn't want to hear it. And I think that's because the big is your how much is this? How important is this to you? Because if it's not, then you're not going to do anything about it.
Period. And one of the things that's important is, who are you surrounding yourself with? And what are you listening to? Right? That's key to, because you can decide something's a priority, right? You can know what I want this to look like. But if you're hanging around with a bunch of negative Nellies, if you're hanging around with a bunch of complainers, a bunch of drama queens, a bunch of people that just want to wallow in woe is me and life is so hard, and
misery loves company.
Telling me right now, like 2020 or 2022, see, I don't even know the date. 2022 has to be better. And I'm like, okay, start today, right? Guess what? You get to choose today to be the most amazing day of your entire life. Why are you waiting till 2022 and saying, I hope 2022 is better? Like, decide what's important to you and what you want now, and take one action towards it right now. Because what happens is, again, that has that compound. You just take one and it feels good, or you start getting that momentum going, and then you take another. So don't put it off. I like to say, don't be a next monther. And right now I'm saying, don't be a next year. We do still have 5 weeks left of this year. You can do a lot in 5 weeks. If you let those things slide for 5 weeks, where are you going to be when the new year starts? You're going to take way more work.
That's exactly what the Badass Buddha and I, we had a conversation, and I said, we have to do something beginning the 1st of January. So we have to figure it out now if we want it to be for that. But yeah, going back, I grew up with a lot of, I didn't call them negative Nellies then, but they didn't think or see past their nose. So everything was, oh, don't do that. Oh, this is safe. Working in a factory is safe. Why are you going to go off and do something else and stuff like that? And, I think an environment plays a role in your psyche, and sometimes it'll weigh your spirit down. And you're like, fuck this. I got to get out of here because I'm like feeling suffocated. But you have to say, I'm feeling suffocated. But I think, I don't know, but on the opposite side of the spectrum of that always propelled me to salsa, to the beat of my conga.
Because you chose to have that perspective on it.
To say, you're crazy. I'm going to do it this way. And the criticism came, and how dare you, and all that. Or why would you do that? And did it. And that's why I've always been like that. I've always taken the road less traveled. Yes. And the criticisms and the negative Nellies, they all served as matches to light the firecracker up my ass to continue on my journey.
because you knew what mattered most to you, right? We've all gone through the last 2 years. We've all done it, right? And some people have chosen to say, life was horrible for the past 2 years, right? It was the neutral circumstance is, COVID happened and life changed, right? That's the neutral circumstance. But we have a choice as to what story we're going to tell ourselves. Are we going to tell ourselves a green light story, like what you're doing, right? Which is going to move you to action, which is going to move you towards the things you want. And you're taking, you're living life versus I'm going to let life happen to me. And I'm going to tell myself these red light stories that I can't, or I shouldn't, or whatever. And then I'm letting life happen, to me. And so what's really key, you can't always choose your family. So sometimes we just have to put healthy boundaries there, but really look at who are your closest friends, who are like the 3 to 5 people at most that really have the most influence and speak into your life, and make sure you choose them wisely because
they could be your family. The 3 closest people to you. Like it could be family because when your family is that close to you, they are also your friends. So, and then just like your friends that close to you are like your family. So
but make sure you look and see, are they supporting you? Are they encouraging you? Are they helping you towards those things that are priorities? Or are they like the crabs in the bucket that don't want you to crawl out of the bucket, right? Because there's a whole big world out there.
Exactly. And those need to be cut off. And people are just too sensitive. Oh, I don't want to do that because they might feel bad. Then you know what? Then you're stupid because you're offending yourself.
Right.
And the reality is, look in the mirror and are you wounding yourself and then saying it's everyone around you? Because by you not taking control, not saying no, life is about yes, no, and maybe some maybes in between.
Sure.
But if you're not in control of that, then I don't want to hear your victimization, how everybody stopped you from becoming who you're supposed to be, because the choice always lies within. Liza, yes, I always get criticized all the time for who I am, but you know what? It's who I am. And I'll sway like the branches of the tree, regardless what weather we're in, but I'm never going to bend. Because that's my moral compass.
Yeah, because right?
Yeah.
You already have those boundaries. You know your priorities. You know your values.
Yes. And if something's not right, then I'll say, do we need to have a conversation? And right there, pretty much everybody who
really
knows
does too.
Okay, I'm not in the right place, but I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt to clear any doubts away. Do we need to have a conversation?
Sure.
And you're absolutely right. 3 to 5 people, the closest. You know what? My 2 people that I would die for and I will kill for, literally, and are my go-tos, and I'm their go-to, is my 35-year-old daughter and my 31-year-old son.
Love it.
We talk every day, several times a day. And when I have to call them out on their shit, they won't talk to me for a day or 2, but then they always come back. Right. But they come back and they tell me because they know that I'm going to keep it real. They're going to get the best advice. And I don't care if their feelings are hurt.
And that's what a good friend is, right?
And that's how I raised them. It's not about your feelings hurt. It's about what you need to do to fix it or to begin it and how to close it out. And if you don't like the facts of life, then you better go hide, put your head in a hole, because this is what life is.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
People who are willing to speak the truth and truly want the best for you, which is so key. And I know for me, what started making the biggest difference was when I invited coaches and other outside people that I wasn't emotionally connected to. Because sometimes, we're emotionally connected to our family and our friends and things like that. And so sometimes it's easy for them to just kind of, they'll let us off the hook, or, they don't want to say the hard things because, they don't want to hurt our feelings or whatever. But, when you get someone around you who they are only there to help you to bring out what's already in you and to help you be better you, excuse me, that makes, all the difference. And that's where my passion lies, is just helping women in the stage of life to rethink their priorities, right? And to align what you say you want with what you do. Right. So there's not that gap between, I say I want this, but then I'm not, matching that with my actions. So that daily priorities planner, you can, if you want to grab that, it's at lissafiggins.com/daily plan. I think you put the link in the very beginning, so maybe drop it again.
I did. I'm going to drop it in again.
Yeah. So what that has is that's a reusable planner. So you can print it out and laminate it, or you can print out multiple copies for the week, or just use one for the week. But it's got all 7 of those categories on there. So you can actually, in your own handwriting, write down what do you want for that area in your life that day or that week. Right. And so I think oftentimes we just, the alarm goes off, we get up, we start doing whatever, and we don't consciously think, oh yeah, this is a priority. What am I doing about, about this? So keeping it top of mind is so important. And then time blocking that on your calendar for the day or the week of when am I going to do this, right? Again, we can't just say, this is what I'm going to do, and then, never get around to it. It's really, putting that in place. So,
and I want to make a statement. I want to make a statement on this. And this is a really, really cool thing that Lissa's offering. We highly recommend that you go and check this out. We're going to go check it out afterwards as well. Understand something too, that once you choose you, and if you haven't been Gladiator Guru, look at Gladiator Guru has been this way her whole life, and she still will meet resistance periodically, but she's very clear on who she is. And people who know her know that she is a beautiful hearted, spirited individual. So they won't dislike her for her speaking out because they know her. But for those of you that this is new, or you haven't done it enough, or, regularly, it's going to be you not only have to face your own fears of changing yourself and sticking up for yourself, but you also have to teach the people around you they have to handle you differently now, and you're going to be different, and you will definitely meet with resistance on that because they have known you a certain way for years, and they will do everything in their power to get you back to the way you were because it was convenient for them. Or it is convenient for them. Yeah. And you have to stay steadfast. And that is the point of this platform. That is the point of Gladiator Guru and I being accessible. That's the point of us bringing guests on like Lissa Figgins, where you can reach out to her or you reach out to the tribe. That's the whole point, because if you need that boost, if you need us to help you, if you need me to, hold the person down and Gladiator Guru come and kick the person, we'll help,
I'm down.
But that's what we're there for. That's you can't necessarily do it alone. God bless the people who can, but you need a tribe. And that's the whole point. And so as you venture into this, like Lissa said, and like we've been saying, don't wait until January 1st to make the changes. If you're coming on to the holidays and you're going, it's a little too much, and now everybody's coming back for the holidays, and I have to do all this cooking, and I just don't think I can do it all. You need to say that. You need to say, I would love to host, but I don't want to do all the cooking. So can we create a new plan? Put it out there. Don't just put the burden on yourself. So you start now. And I'm done talking.
Yeah, and start small. That would be my other thing. Don't feel like you have to take on all 7 areas today and be like, all right, I'm going to totally, completely overhaul everything in my life, right? Start with one thing. Like pick that category that is lacking the most, or that that if you made a change or just started moving in that positive direction, it would impact other things, right? And just what can I do today? It doesn't have to be like you're going to go run a marathon. Maybe you're going to go walk around the block. Great, right? And then maybe you go and do it again tomorrow. I like to say, make the next choice, right? One after the next, and then just make the next one. And those will have that compound cumulative effect. Yeah. And I love this tribe that you guys are creating here, because it comes back to that quote that I shared in my bio, like never DIY your greatest priorities. Every woman needs other people around her, right? Everyone needs, whether it's a coach or a friend or, just a place like this, a community to be able to support you. Because I think sometimes the person that's going to hold us back the most is this girl right here, right?
Yeah.
The girl who's thinking about how she's always thought, how she's always acted, how she's always done things. And so you start changing things and she's like, you've never done that before. You've always said you were going to, and then you failed. You're not good enough to do that. And so there's a lot of mindset stuff that goes in there. And so you start thinking and acting like goal achieved, right? What is goal achieved, Lissa? How does she act? What does she do? What does she believe? How does she speak? Right? That's how we want to start going, right? Not like who you used to be, because that's not where you want to stay.
That's right. All right. Listen, prioritize this. See, this is Lissa's moment, and she just dropped the mic. Pa. So
I am doing one thing coming up that I'll invite your audience to. On December 13th, I'm doing a year in review. It's going to be a free event on Zoom. And we're just going to go through some questions to really look back at the last year and kind of pull out the lessons and the successes. And I think when you get clarity on that, it's a whole lot easier and better to go into a new year, rather than people who just want to go, I'm just going to put this year behind me and I'm just going to start fresh. I think there's a wisdom in looking back and doing that review. So if you're interested in that, you can email me, which is Lissa. Just, it's Melissa without the M-E, because it's not about me. So it looks like Lisa, but it's Lissa. So
Oh
you can
my
email
God,
me at lissa@lissafiggins.com and just say review. And then I will give you the Zoom link. That's again, December 13th at 7 p.m. Central Time. So 8 p.m. for those of you who are in the Eastern time zone.
That is a big thing. I actually do that with my clients as well. I actually tell them to recommend, depending on where they are, do a daily review, and then do a weekly, and then do a monthly, but definitely a year. That they go back, they look at all their pictures on their phone to help jog their memory. They look at their date book, and they go month to month, looking at their wins, where they fell short, so that because you don't know where you're going to go unless you know where you started. Just like you were saying with the directions, if you're going on a trip, you have a starting point. You have to know where you're starting from. You ever do that where somebody's saying you're lost and they're like, where are you right now? Because they're trying to help you and you're like, I don't know. Like you have no idea where you are because you're lost. And they're like, well, I can't help you. And it's the same deal. If you don't know where you are right now, you don't know where to go to be able to create your direction. So thank you for that offer. That's absolutely wonderful. And is that free? That's what you're offering?
Yep.
Free.
Yep. Monday,
Seriously.
December 13th.
Seriously.
Yay.
This is fabulous. Look you already got Liza saying that she's interested. All right. Anything else,
Send
Gladiator,
me an email
before we go?
Yeah, I want to thank you, Lissa, because we can't hear this enough. And then I love when it's said with different spirits, because I can say the same thing you are saying, but it's still going to come out different because the spirit's different, the way we speak. So I think that the more we're constantly bringing on, spirits like this, so that our tribe, who comes in all flavors and styles and sizes, can relate to what each of us say, because that's what's important to us. It's about having a message and delivering it with such a purpose that every single person listening can relate, can feel it. Because if you feel it, it's not like chewing it and spitting it out. It's about savoring it and swallowing it and living it. So everybody has a different way of saying it. And that's one of our purposes here on Viva Cafe con Leche, is to satisfy everybody's palate with the same information. Yes. So I thank you for that. I thank you for the planner offer. I thank you for the December 13th year in review. I think I'm still going to be in California, but I'm going to try and figure that one in, because we have a lot of stuff we're doing before the end of our year here at Viva. So, pretty busy and loving every minute of it. Walking in our truths, and that's it. And I just want to put something out there to Liza Tuck. Mira, nena, si lo va a decir, dilo bien. Power of the pussy, baby. Yeah.
Liza, we always love having you on. You're so vocal. We always
love Liza.
Comments, right? So yes, Lissa, thank you so much for coming on. We really, really appreciate this. We appreciate the free gifts that you're offering to the tribe. Tribe, take advantage of this and, jump on. I'm going to sign up for Lissa's December 13th thing, and I'm going to pull out the planner as well. And I think, again, this is about the same messages from different people. You might not hear it the same way, but as long as the information sinks in, that's the most important thing, because it's about you. Not about us. It's about you. So,
because you only have one life to live, right? And I truly believe that God created you with a purpose, and and you are to live out that purpose by by taking action towards that. So, and that's what makes life beautiful.
Absolutely. It is, and shine in your own beauty, and at your own tone. Hold that mic and let it go when you feel like it's time to do it. And you know what? Our purpose, our legacy, is to be of service to others and to help others lift up. And I think we're doing a great job. So
you guys are amazing.
I celebrate you. I celebrate you all, because the badass, we're all in it with the same purpose, the end result. Because if I help you, then I'm so feeding my spirit and nurturing my ego that my light is for as many people as want to come in close range. So I'm happy that you were here, and you have a great day. Any last words?
That you stood later. So we really appreciate that, because you had so much to say and you indulged us and let us tell about the book and stuff. So, so that's it for today's show. Remember to purchase your Her Badass Story book on Amazon, and we put the links in so you can just click right into the comments, just go back to the video, but it will be posting on the Viva page all day. Please, please do that. We want to hit that international best-selling spot. Share the international links with people you know out of the country. It's a minimal investment, so it shouldn't take long, or it's not much of an investment to do, so it's not a really teeth pulling over here. And when you read it, also put a review into the Amazon page as well. Thursday, happy Thanksgiving. We're going to be here in the morning. And as you're cooking, put us on, because we're going to be talking and honoring Maya Angelou. And we're going to be talking about I Rise. And this is a very, very powerful. And look, Nan got her book. Nan, thank you. All right, Nan just comes right at the end and jumps in and has the book. Thank you, sweet pea. We miss you, Nan. We have to have you back on the show. So join us. We are going to celebrate women. We're going to celebrate ourselves as we cook and do our badass thing on Thanksgiving. I'm going to be cooking and doing the show at the same time. No, I'm going to do the show and then
I'm not cooking.
Yeah, you're not cooking. So you're always cooking, Gladiator Guru. You're just not cooking the food. You're cooking.
That's
yourself.
it. I'm not a cook.
Okay.
I'm not a cook. But anyway, so yes. So get the book, Lissa. I wrote down the names of the books you mentioned today, as I'm sure the tribe did, because that's something that we love to do. For those who buy Her Badass Story, yes, please leave a review. The stories, some stories are very raw. Some stories you can relate to, maybe you cannot, but the bottom line is they're all authentic. They're all truth being shared from the spirit through the pen point. So honor every story that you read, because these are stories that left scars, unhealed wounds, and on some of them are just being transferred.
Yes.
So, yay.
All right, Lissa, have a happy Thanksgiving. And from the tribe, we love you. Thank you so much for being here today and giving us all your insight and fabulousness.
Lissa.
Yes, love it. Lissa. And say it one more time. It's Melissa without.
So it's Melissa without the M-E, because it's not about me. So that just leaves Lissa.
Love it. Love it. All right, everyone. We'll see you Thursday. See you. Happy Thanksgiving morning. Bye, everybody. Oh, we didn't say our ending. Oh, my God.
I'm like, what are you doing?
So from the Badass Buddha, oh, my goodness. Remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
And from the Gladiator Guru, remember, when you go out today, look, admire, and breathe in all the beauty. And breathe out all the bullshit. Namaste.
There we go. Namaste.